Saturn is moving direct in Pisces on November 28th, 29th, depending on where you are in the world. And this is for the very last time in 26 years. Saturn won't return to Pisces until April of 2052, and we will likely be dealing with completely different things by then. For this last few months of Saturn in Neptune, I'm going to talk about 9 themes that I think everybody could potentially be focusing on, working on, thinking about. Then the important dates, just so you have a sense of what's going on for the next few months with this particular transit. And then the sign by sign. And that's going to give you a clearer idea of where in your life some of these themes could be showing up. And when I do the sign by sign, the themes that I'm going to talk about could still be the same. It's more that there are parts of your life, it's going to show up in the house systems where these lessons, these experiences, life situations are coming around to highlight certain experiences, highlight your ability to work with Neptunian, Piscean energy. And it will be unique to each. So do watch your sun, moon, and rising and put them all together to get a better sense of how your life is unfolding with this energy. First, a little description of Neptune, Saturn, and Pisces. If you already feel really familiar with these topics, I have timestamp links for the introduction as well. You can skip ahead to any part that you prefer to listen to. But Saturn is our planet of discipline. It is the planet that rules all of the earthly physiological limitations we have. The reality of the earth that we live in is that things take time. Certain things slow down the process so that we can get better at it, so that we can see things in different ways, so that we can reorganize something, create a new structure, maybe even create a new system, which can be very Aquarian. And Saturn is the ancient ruler of Aquarius as well. So there are some overlapping themes. But Saturn as the ruler of Capricorn is the disciplinary that slows down time so that we can figure out where our boundaries are, where our limits are. As humans, it's great to think that we have all of this unlimited energetic potential like we do with Neptune and Pisces. Yet, when we're in the density of this earth plane, the ability to bring energy into the physicality of that needs some working, needs some adjustment, and it needs to take time to fit the pieces together. I think that's part of the evolutionary process that we're going through as humans, is that we are learning through this Saturn and Neptune to bring in more energy and to work with it in ways that fuel and feed our material earthly existence here. But there is a pace that energy can be channeled and used, and also Saturn shows us that there's a pace for which we can change and keep a strong foundation and keep that change being functional. With other planets that like to move more quickly, like Mars and Uranus, when we create abrupt change, it doesn't always last the test of time, but Saturn changes do. So that is one wonderful gift about Saturn transits. They do last, they're long lasting. The lessons we learn are through many incarnations. The soul really holds on to the nitty-gritty of that experience and remembers that process. On that topic, my first theme is forgiveness of the earthly structures that bound us, to create new ways of coexisting with the energetic world, this unlimited energetic source that we can tap into, whether that's intuition, meditation, transformation, or any other divination that we want to talk about when it comes to Pisces realm. How can we forgive the structure that limits us from being back to these pure energetic beings and figure out ways to merge the two, coexist? Accept that we have limits, accept that we have boundaries, accept that we have structures and governments, that we don't always like the way things operate, yet we have to work within what we have. We have to work with the foundation and the framework that already exists. Until Uranus blows it out of the water, which it might do in Gemini, and more videos on that. The second one is viruses, bugs, bacteria, pathogens of all kinds, the things that we don't see in the world that make us sick are part of the Neptune Pisces realm. And with Saturn in Pisces, what can happen is that we're actually restructuring our DNA, our physical framework, through getting sick, through getting viruses, through pathogenic invasions, through gut bacteria, through all of these things. One of the things that I've been thinking about lately is my own gut health, which is constantly a journey. And it does reprogram what I can eat. Depending on what sort of gut bacteria are going on in my gut, it changes whether or not I can eat fruit, whether or not I can eat anything that's sweet versus it changes my digestion. There's been some research that has suggested that I'm also celiac and that a virus is potentially what causes that. There are many other viruses that permanently change our existence and rework. Whether we want to call that negative or positive, these are changes in our evolutionary process and they're changing who we are. So we are this organic existence with bacteria, viruses, pathogens, and we need to adapt. We need to continue to evolve. And if it limits what we can eat, that might also be part of working towards a better diet for our future. On that same topic, the third one is medicinal changes at a spiritual level. So people that are doing MDMA, mushroom therapy, other types of psychotropic drugs or adaptogens to function better in this world. Since the internet emerged, since we've had Wi-Fi, 5G, all of these other signals in the world, this is also correlating with an emergence of an understanding of ADHD and autism spectrum and all of these other ways that our neurology is adjusting with the energetic frequencies that we're putting into our earthly existence. And whether that's plant medicine or it is Wi-Fi and EMF, which is electromagnetic field energy, that too is reworking the structure of our body, and that's Saturn. Yet the Neptune part is these intangible energies that we need to coexist with. That could be a path that some people are on. And again, whether it's right or wrong, it's just the way that we are evolving. It's the way that we need to continue to adapt and work with what we have. And Saturn and Neptune is doing that. At the same time, my fourth one is overcoming this fog. And whether it is brain fog due to our sensitivity to electromagnetic fields like 5G and internet, or we would prefer to exist in a fog that's a bit more dissociated from the realities of life, because sometimes the discipline of Saturn is just too much to bear and we don't want to bother. This journey with Saturn and Neptune is giving us tough lessons around the preference to be in a fog, the preference to dissociate, the preference to detach, and detach can be a bit more Aquarius. In Pisces, we can want to go into meditation and other spiritual practices to avoid discomfort. Saturn here is going to show us that there's a balance and merging here to do too, that we need to bring these spiritual practices in to meet our more rough, real, earthly existence that Saturn rules. This is doing hard work. In Pisces, there can be emotional and energetic work that we need to do. We need to figure out how to have healthy boundaries and exist with energies that are complicated and difficult. Not just remove ourselves and go into the utopia that Pisces can be. And that can be through meditation and escapism and other types of going into this more blissful, unconditional love state, but not connecting with the earthly plane that we're in. I also always like to say that there will be a time when we can go back to that Piscean realm and we are stardust and connected to all things again. And we are that here on Earth, but we are also here on Earth. And Saturn is here to remind us that while we're here for this short experience, we need to integrate with what's actually here and not be so much in the spiritual realm, but be in both. So the next one that's somewhat similar is structure and discipline, where we would rather give up and give in. Because Pisces parts of our charts are going to be that, where we would rather just give into the abyss, go with the flow, make things really easy and comfortable. But sometimes we need to put in more structure, put in more hard work, and have a merging of the two. So the next one is the how-to. We need to understand the natural laws of the earthly plane that we work in and the energetic laws and how those merge, how we can merge those through ourselves in our lives, whatever way that coexists for each of us. And how to work with this in optimal ways so that we're not creating deception, illusion. That's what Pisces can do. It can want to create this fairy tale illusion of what the world could be or what the world is. And there's deception in that. Sometimes it's deception to other people. We're facing a lot of that right now with AI and fake news and fake posts. And this is the first stepping stone of looking at those differences between what's real, where are those boundaries of what is real, what is a good way of channeling this Pisces energy into our world, and what is a not so good way. Our antennas are going to be up for looking at how to optimally merge these energies and using the laws of both the energetic and the physical. The next one is showing us where we are being deceived, where we are being overly optimistic. Saturn could be coming in and showing us where we continue to see things through the lens of unconditional love, rose-colored glasses, and maybe that's just not how it is. And there needs to be some acceptance in that. There needs to be some acceptance in the Saturn, more depressing energy of the world. It's here. Saturn, Capricorn, any other parts of life that get depressing and physical and tough and we have to work through, those aren't going anywhere. But the key is unconditional love in Pisces for that as well. For those sad days, for those hard days, for those days when we do nothing but work, for those days where we don't want to get up and do anything at all. That could be Saturn in Pisces too, just flatlined and a bit numb and so much resistance to what we need to do here on Earth. We're breaking through that. Saturn direct is going to give us a feeling of more motivation to get work done. And I personally, with a Capricorn sun, I'm really looking forward to that. On this topic of being deceived, the next one is showing us what the karmic responsibility of deceiving others is. So pay attention to this. This can be nuanced, but when we're putting out a lot of quick-paced technological video type work, we really want to look at what is helping others versus what is deceiving just for the sake of growing our social media or whatever it is. And last, but maybe the most important, is showing us where we're blocking unconditional love for ourselves, for this world, for this merging that I've been talking so much about. Unconditional love and forgiveness are some of the best features of Pisces. There's creativity, there's spirituality, there's a lot of wonderful qualities of Pisces. When Saturn moves direct, we're going to have a bit more clarity on where we have been restricting our hearts from unconditional love for ourselves first and foremost, and then with other people. So the really important dates: Saturn is direct November 28th, 29th. It won't return to Pisces until April of 2052. That's 26 years for the next cycle. Saturn has been at 25 degrees station since October 27th, 28th, and it won't move to 26 degrees until December 29th, 30th. So this station moment is where all of the things that I just mentioned are going to start to show up and bring more clarity. So think about that over the next couple of months as we go through the Christmas holidays, if those are something you celebrate. As we move into the new year, you're going to start to feel some of these topics become more clear and open up and shift. And we're going to feel more forward momentum in our ability to channel energy in a really healthy way. Neptune is traveling very close to Saturn. Neptune is direct on December 10th in Pisces, and it goes into Aries on January 26th, 27th. Saturn then joins Neptune in Aries on February 15th. And then they have an exact conjunction on February 19th, 20th. This is the moment of a new cycle in Aries. So all of this stuff that I'm talking about in this introduction is going to become really apparent all the way up until January, February next year, when Saturn and Neptune move into Aries. And then we're starting a whole new cycle February 19th. This is a big one, and I will talk more about it as we get into the new year. But for now, let's get into your sign. Aries, this is happening in your 12th house. Saturn direct in your 12th house is going to be more of those energetic experiences for you. This could definitely be meditation, getting stronger in your systems and discipline with taking time to meditate, taking time to rest, taking time to immerse yourself with the energetic qualities of the world. Not just the forward movement and discipline of Saturn. You are going to get 3 years of that when Saturn moves into your sign. But right now, this is the time where you are drawing out the dream. You're mind mapping the dream. You are dreaming the dream. So your dream world could be really important to you. You could find that there is more important, relevant, subconscious material coming forward in your dreams. You might be finding how useful meditation is in your daily life and practice. In the 12th house, there could be some themes of being separate from society for a while. So that can be hospitals, institutions, things that are forcing you to rest and take a time out. And this is really important when we're restructuring energetically. We cannot keep pushing forward in the physical world when we're going through these energetic reprogrammings that a lot of Aries people are. So don't be hard on yourself if you are feeling like life has been slow for the last 3 years. There's a lot going on below the surface, whether you are fully aware of that detail or not. You're going to start to see when Saturn moves into your sign how much you've changed at an energetic level, how much more in tune you are with the vastness of energy that you have at your disposal. Your ability to create, your ability to find time out and accept those moments because you know that that's when the creative flow comes. We need space for that. Sometimes it happens quickly. It's nice to when it does, but often we need to carve out this slow, restful realm to really get that moving forward in our lives. If you feel like old structures have been dissipating, being dismantled, stuff that you used to count on as foundational and the way that you structured your life has just dissolved over the last 3 years, there's a lot of purpose in that. And you are going to be rebuilding for the next 3 years with Saturn in your sign. So you need the energy for that, and you need the blank slate. You need a clean, new place to build your new foundation from. Whatever is going on in your life. Right now, home-related stuff is strong with Jupiter in your 4th house. Uranus is going to be going into your 3rd house, where your ability to communicate is quite different. And your networks, the people you're connecting with, are being transformed by Pluto. So these are the slower moving transits. You are the one that's changing the most out of all of the zodiac next year with Neptune and Aries in your sign. So do take time to rest if you feel called to that. Take time to create. This is a time where you are definitely going to be looking at areas where you dissociate or want to just dissolve into the abyss. And come next year, you're going to be ready for action. You're going to be feeling more Aries-like, more like yourself, and ready to build whatever kind of life that you want for yourself. Very exciting stuff, Aries. If you would like to process more of this with a personal reading, check out my booking link in the description below. But thank you so much for checking out this video, and I will see you next time. Hi, Taurus. For you, this is happening in your 11th house. Saturn direct here is helping you see what energetic responsibility you have to your connections to other people. It's not just the communities that you're a part of and just showing up. Saturn's journey through Pisces in your 11th house is showing you more about what energy you want to connect with other people. This could be where you are also being shown where you've been overly optimistic or not seeing your networks and communities clearly. Maybe you're over idealizing what others can do for you as far as being part of a community. And Saturn here can bring up some hard truths at times with the real limitations of that network and community. There's more responsibility for self coming up when Saturn moves into Aries next year. And Taurus, especially, you're going to be focused more on managing your own energy outside of connection. I mean, connection is still important. Our communities, our networks, they are a healthy part of life. This is where we can experience unconditional love, especially for Taurus, because Pisces is the ruler of this part of your chart. It could be through communities and organizations that you feel you're most creative and you feel divinely inspired. And maybe you're part of spiritual groups where you feel a sense of interconnectedness at a spiritual level. And that's all very important, healthy parts to have in our life. And Saturn travels through this part of your chart. The limitations that show up are going to show you where you need to have both, where you need to restrict how much you rely on community and networks, whether your expectations are too high of other people. Groups are going to serve what they're going to serve. We're moving into a part of life where we realize how much we can do for ourselves. And it's not that we don't need community. I just really want to emphasize that, but there's both. You don't need to rely on other people for your unconditional love for yourself. The 11th house is also our nervous systems. Aquarius rules the nervous system, a system without a center. The nervous system is a dynamic expression of taking in information from the eyes, from the brain, which are one unit, through the gut, through the sensory ability of our skin, and interpreting all of that knowledge. But there are multiple centers in that system, and arguably not really centers because they all feed off of each other's information. One of the journeys of Saturn through this part of your chart could be that you're understanding the nervous system in your body better. For Tauruses, there's an energy that is fixed, that is slower to change. It is one of the best energies at following things through, getting work done, working towards security. And with this design, it's not one of the signs that gets knocked off kilter very easily. There's a design in this energy that is almost more disconnected from the nervous system than, say, Virgo energy or Aquarius energy. And so because we're talking about the 11th house, we're talking about Aquarius energy and how that blends with Pisces energy, how that blends with the journey of Saturn. And you could be going through a breaking through of seeing more about what your nervous system is actually picking up on, how you affect your own nerves, how your communities affect your nerves, how your gut is picking up on information about your networks and your communities and your own self, and how our brains and our thoughts have the power to change and organize how our nerves pick up energy. And that's the Pisces piece. That's Saturn in Pisces. So you're learning something new about how your body picks up energy and how your body attunes to groups and communities. When Saturn moves into your 12th house, you'll be doing this even more. And with Uranus at the final degrees in your sign for the last visit, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, the modern ruler of Aquarius. With Uranus here in your first sign, at 29 degrees now for its very last journey, it's going to be reworking some of the connection you have. Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius, and that's the 11th house topic. So there's some overlap here. There's actually a lot of overlap for Tauruses, but it's all pointing to an increase in awareness of the energy around you, how sensitive your nerves are to picking up information, even if you haven't been tuning into that. So you might notice in different layers that you are experiencing different sensations in your body. Uranus can feel like there are electric signals that are misfiring in the body. You could feel more of a tingle, more heart stuff sometimes. And this is part of the body reprogramming. So do seek any medical attention that you need, but keep this in mind when we start to feel like our bodies are failing us or something's changing and going haywire. Sometimes it's just this energetic retuning that's happening, and the slower moving energy, which is our organs and our physical bodies, need a bit more time to catch up to the energetic changes. And that's what's been going on for you for 8 years as Uranus has been in your sign. 3 years with Saturn in the 11th house of Pisces, which is originally Aquarius, in the 11th house, which is a Uranus ruled sign. So that's when some of this energetic reworking has been more about the communities and the networks you're a part of and less focus on your body at times. But that's all going to shift and recalibrate as Saturn moves direct. You're going to start feeling like you have a grasp on things. So if you've been feeling frustrated, or you're feeling like your communities and networks aren't really supporting you, or there's something going haywire with your nervous system, Saturn direct is going to help you move forward with that. And you're going to start to see some of the empowerment that's come from these situations over the last 3 years. If you would like to process more with your personal chart, I will link my booking site in the description below. So much fun chatting with you in the comments below. Thank you for participating in that, and thank you for watching this video. I'll see you next time. Gemini, you are working through the 10th house topics with Saturn in Pisces. Here, when it moves direct, you're going to be feeling so much more clear on some of the deception that might be going on in work and career with people in positions of authority, with your own authority. You are going to be finding this energy of meeting in the middle with your ability to tune into things at an intuitive level and use this to have a certain boundary and structure and authority over yourself when you're in the public, when you're at work, when you're just with other people. You are one of the signs who is learning energetic boundaries and how to protect yourself, how to create structure between yourself and others, but especially when it comes to leadership, when it comes to the structures that you're bound by with work and people in the world that have authority over you. This is where there's a nuance of meeting in the middle, but you're going to find more of a sense of being able to move forward in a way that feels empowering, in a way that feels like you have a grasp on the leadership and the authority that you want to have out in the world. Many Geminis could be stepping into a job or a role with a lot more work and responsibility and leadership and authority. And if you haven't been able to trust yourself or even have unconditional love for that process, some people might feel uncomfortable stepping into a role of leadership and authority, or even new positions at work, maybe a new career altogether. Perhaps some of you just don't feel comfortable being in the limelight. There could also have been some dissolving of old systems, in this case, old careers, positions of work, positions of authority and leadership. You might have gone through these waves of things dissolving, not working out, not finding a career that really jives with you. When Saturn goes direct, you're going to feel more aligned and connected with something that really vibrates at an energetic level with you. Some of you could be in spiritual leadership roles. You could be in film or some creative work where the world is seeing through your lens. This is a time when your intuition is high. Uranus is finishing its transit in your 12th house. Assets are paying off. Expenses might be high too, but you have the abundance and the expansion with Jupiter in your second house to work with whatever you want. It could be that you are moving forward in career and the abundance and assets are about to expand further. Saturn is the ruler of your 8th house, so there is going to be an element of other people's resources and merging psychologically with other people. And this could be part of the leadership skills that you have been acquiring and the authority that you're working with. There's a psychological layer to that where you're working with your own psychology and that of others to move your team forward, to be a leader in whatever way you are a leader in your world, even if it's not career related. We all have areas of our life where we need to work on our leadership and authority. It's one of the qualities that adds to being autonomous as a human. And there's a layer of that that we need to protect in order to be different, in order to show our energetic strengths and creativity and this soul and energetic expression of ourselves that shows up in Pisces. Some of you could be in the realm of medicine, of psychedelic medicine, of psychological or psychotherapy in some way, especially if it's medicine related. You could also be gaining a lot of recognition for work that you're doing in this area, if that applies to some of you. When Saturn moves direct, this is a time where you could get recognized for some of the work that you've been doing behind the scenes. That's another quality of Pisces energy. So if you've been feeling like you've been putting in a lot of work for the last 3 years, but it's not really going anywhere, come next year when Saturn moves into Aries in your 11th house, that's when it's going to reach the masses. Right now, though, is a moment of recognition and showing up in the world in a different way than you have before. And you're using both your ability to manage energy, be an intuitive human, maybe meditation and spiritual practices, maybe medicinal therapy, and you're incorporating that with real life, practical career work, leadership work, moving forward in the world, creating new foundations and structures with work and career that really help you get in the flow of more efficiency and more career movement. So if you've been feeling like that's not going where you want it to, now's the time. This is an exciting new chapter from now all the way up until February, March, April of 2026, when all of these new cycles kick into gear. If you would like to hear more about your personal chart, check out my booking link in the description below. And it's so much fun hearing from you in the comments. Thank you for chatting there. Have a wonderful Saturn direct, and I will see you next time. Hi, Cancer. This is happening in your 9th house, Saturn moving direct in Pisces. And the 9th house is all about your beliefs about the world. It is the experiences that you have that build to this bigger purpose and concept of philosophy of what the world is all about. This definitely could be spiritual practices for a lot of Cancers out there. You could be remodeling how you feel about the spiritual world, about energy, and about the purpose of a spiritual practice. Saturn here can add more discipline to searching for new knowledge about how energy really works. Maybe some of you are actually in film, you're doing photography or videography type Piscean things. And then that would apply here where you might be teaching those topics, especially if you're a Cancer rising. Or you could be taking more courses on how to expand your knowledge here. And it's going to be very practical, applicable knowledge where it's not just about creating new belief systems and mindsets. It is about how you make use of that in the material world. Saturn could have showed you some areas where you had more creativity and attunement to the energetic realm and intuition than what you were able to put into function and make use of. And with Saturn direct for the very last time for 26 years in this part of your chart, this is where you're going to be putting it not only into solid material functional form and making it work for you in this world, but you're going to be showing it to the world. When Saturn moves into your 10th house next year, you could be more in the public eye. Your career could change. You could be using some of these skills to really put mastery out into the public. You could be getting recognized for some of this mastery as well. There's a responsibility with Saturn in your 10th house, though, with being in the public image, and that's going to just show up. It's a practice as you go sort of thing. Saturn is also the ruler of your 7th house of partnerships, and this could have to do with marriage partners, relationship, romantic partners, business partners. These are contractual, often long-term committed people, but it's also the house of just other. So it's how you learn from other people. And there's a piece of that that's going on as Saturn is finishing its journey in your 9th house, is that you're learning more about Piscean like topics through others. And they could be showing you challenges, areas where you can refine how you build up this perceptual, conceptual part of your life. There's such wisdom gained here, and it's through observing other people. It's through understanding that everyone is interconnected, and there's so much richness and importance in that. And when Saturn moves into your 10th house, it's going to be a really helpful tool to have this now newly formed wisdom over the last 3 years about how waves of energy between people affect people before we even say or do anything, or how you can draw on this intuitive process, this intuitive creative vastness, and put that into a new belief system, a new framework of wisdom that you can use probably in any area of your life, but it's going to start to show up in career. There will be a lot of career potential for Cancers out there over the next 3 years, over the next 14 years with Neptune in your 10th house. But it's the 9th house where you've just been that is really educating you, and you're gaining all of the knowledge that you need to take in the direction that's coming. And that will be unique to each of you. This is energy where some of you could be into more medicinal practices of mind expansion and expanding your consciousness, having those actual experiences of connection to God or connection to spirit or connection to that energy. And if it has been through any type of substance, then you've been reworking your relationships with other people potentially, but reworking your own physical structure and how you take in information. So this is a real mind expansive journey that you've been on. You're seeing behind the veil, many of you. And because Pluto has been in your 7th house of partnerships, where Saturn is the ruler, Pluto is now in Aquarius, but it's in your 8th house. And so there's a lot of emphasis for Cancers out there on what makes a good relationship, what makes really good bonding is Pluto in your 8th house now. How do you energetically and psychologically and sexually merge with another person in a way that feels very ethereal with Saturn having been in Pisces? Your connections are taking on more of a spiritual focus for many of you. And I just wanted to touch on how that's helping other parts of your chart, specifically relationships for Cancers. But it will be very career focused soon. For some of you, the 10th house, when Saturn moves into the 10th house and Neptune is there too, this can be status changes in a relationship. So you could have more committed long-term relationships with Saturn in your 10th house is just one way that the next phase could show up, but it will be different for each person. And if you would like to process more with your personal chart, check out my booking link in the description below. It's so much fun hearing what's going on in your life in the comments, though. Thanks for chatting with me there. Have a wonderful last bit of Saturn in your 9th house of Pisces, and I will see you next time. Leo, Saturn is moving direct in your 8th house. This is all about your psyche. You are becoming more in tune with your own psychology, potentially healing and reversing trauma. And it's going to be coming from a place of forgiveness and unconditional love, mostly for yourself, forgiveness for just the way that life is, forgiveness for the part of life that is all about loss and dissolving of things and things that we can't see and can't touch, but exist. Saturn here is showing you that there's more structure, more actual earthly foundation and formation that can be put around this intangible psyche house. If it's other people's resources, you could have had over the past 3 years a lot of tests in how you manage shared resources with another person. So you're restructuring your expectations, your intentions, and the energy that you approach finances with. This is about mastering the abundance mindset, and especially as it applies to merging finances or money that you get from other organizations like taxes or debts or payouts of any kind. This mostly applies to shared resources when it comes to business and partner finances. There can be an element of inheritances here too, but this is other people that manage your money in some way. The empowering part of having Saturn through Pisces in this part of your chart is that you're realizing that you actually have more of an energetic hold and power in this part of your life than you realized. So the energy that you come at things or your mindset around shared resources and how that works has been changing. And when Saturn moves direct over the next few months before it moves into a whole new part of your chart in the 9th house, this is where you're going to start to see the progress pay off. And there's an opportunity here for a lot of expansiveness in Neptune. That you're connected to all things, that your resources have an energetic connection behind them. And when payouts come from other people, there is more going on than just a haphazard, random payout. Saturn is the ruler of your 6th house, so there is an element of your daily activities, your daily work, your habits, your routines. This is an area that can speak to dissociative habits. This is intoxicants. This is routines that are either helpful in a meditative process, but they need to still be grounded. And it's the same thing with any substances that we use to assist ourselves in life. And there are many that are very supportive medications for attention deficit and other types of medicines, adaptogens and psychedelics that help us all out. But Saturn is teaching a fine line between what keeps us grounded, what keeps us functional, what keeps us paying attention to the very real practical things in the world that we need to pay attention to, and what supports our energetic and medicinal connections in the world. So there could be an element here. You could be transforming your psyche and really finally feeling some success moving forward in that. And that's going to help your routines. It's going to help your daily habits. And it's going to help you get work done. You're going to experience more joy in the day to day, or at least there's the capacity to. Having Capricorn as your 6th house and Saturn as the 6th house ruler in the 8th house by transit, can be a heaviness to that. There could be a sense that your day-to-day life feels like too much responsibility. It feels too slow. The progress isn't fast enough. You want more fun and creativity. And that's where Saturn and Pisces could have been showing you where there's more opportunity for creativity, more opportunity for unconditional love of the process, and more opportunity to just forgive life. Forgive life for being monotonous and mundane and needing to wake up and go to work and put away the dishes and do all these responsible things that Leo is one of the signs that would rather have fun. And you're very capable of bringing this fire and fun to the world. But you might feel the contrast of discipline to just way too much. So I think that you're going to really enjoy Saturn in your ninth house because it's another fire sign when it moves into Aries. And that's going to fit your vibe a lot more. So whatever work you've been doing with Saturn in your eighth house of Pisces, there could just be a shift. There could be a shift and a switch that happens. And then when the ruler of your sixth house, being Saturn, moves into Aries and it's a fire sign, it's impulsive, it likes to move forward and be very proactive there, you're going to feel your day-to-day mundane life lit up a bit more. You're going to feel like things are actually very quick paced. It's going to be a big contrast to what we've been going through for the last 3 years. But Leos are going to be one of the signs that does really well with Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And you're going to feel like things are more at your pace. Things are more fun. Things are fiery, lit up, energized, motivated, moving forward, all of the things that fire signs really jive with and do well with. But this work was necessary. This work with Saturn and Pisces has shown you how much power you have over your energetic realm, over your psychological realm, over your finances, over your intimate bonds with other people. And it's only going to continue to heat up and speed up. And yeah, enjoy this last few months of the slowness of the watery sign with work, because when Saturn moves into Aries, you could just find that you're really busy with responsibility and you're getting new projects off the ground. Those things could be changing your mindset. You could be getting more routines off the ground, and that's also going to be, everything's going to be adding to your mindset and expanding your knowledge when Saturn and Neptune move into your ninth house. So get ready, Leo. It's going to be a ride for sure. And if you would like to hear more about your personal chart, check out my booking link in the description below. It's so much fun hearing what's going on in the comments. So thank you for chatting with me there and hanging out for this video. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of Saturn in Pisces, and I will see you next time. Virgo. You are going to be one of the happy signs when Saturn moves direct in your seventh house of partnerships, because this is on one of the angles, and the first and seventh house is very much about you. It's about how you learn about yourself through other people. And with Saturn in Pisces, many Virgos could be going through lessons around deception and illusion with others. Where is it that you've been over idealizing what other people are capable of? Where is it that you're over idealizing yourself and others? Relationships, for sure, especially for a Virgo, it can also show up as over idealizing what you can be and what other people can be, and especially as those two merge. Saturn's the ruler of your fifth house, and there's been a dissolving in some ways of what was fun, what was your ability to be creatively self-expressive with other people with Saturn in your seventh house. So you've been looking at more of what needs to be healed at an energetic level to feel like you can be yourself with other people, to feel like you can be seen for who you are, to feel like you can have fun and joy. This could have to do with children. For those of you that have children, this energy could be about decisions that you make with another person on how you parent and the structure that you give to your children and your home environment, and also your relationship as a connection, as a piece of that. Maybe you have relationships and partnerships that need to revolve around children, and there could be more than one of those. And there are a lot of overlapping lessons on how you have one, unconditional love for that process, forgiveness for other people, forgiveness for your children, for the situations that show up that block us from our creative self-expression, for situations in the world that force us to work and be diligent and prevent us from having fun and being playful and being children ourselves. There's a lot of responsibility in the seventh house with Saturn there, of partnerships and responsibility to be there for other people. There could be a dissolving of responsibility because Saturn in Pisces can dissolve certain structures and qualities. You could be dissolving old ways that you had fun. There could be responsibilities with children that are actually dissolving and not growing. The energetic goal here, though, and the evolutionary purpose is to see where we can bring more connection to all things, more unity, more unconditional love, less dissociation with our relationships, less over-idealization, which is also a sort of dissociation. It's living in this blissful, opportunistic state rather than accepting the real, raw reality stuff that Saturn can bring, and being able to enjoy the bliss and the euphoria from that very grounded, real place. When Saturn moves direct, relationships could have more long-lasting potential. You've gone through all of this reconfiguring of your energetic foundation with relationships. And this is a wonderful time where something could actually take hold and have roots. So if you're looking for a business partner or a relationship partner or a better connection with your kids, since Saturn is the ruler of your fifth house. But for many of you, this will be more partnership focused, and the potential for long-term unconditional love is very strong. It's one of the biggest gifts that you will have from Saturn moving through this part of your chart. And when it moves into your eighth house, it's going to be about deepening that merging at a psychological and emotional level. It's going to be about shared resources, how you manage finances and abundance, and the practicalities of life, the rules around what we can do with our money, how we can expand our money, what that means when resources are shared with another person. But for now, you're establishing this new way of being in the world with relationships, with your children. You could even be finding relationships that match you at an energetic level for where you are your creative, authentic self. Pluto was just going through your fifth house for Virgo risings, and you were reworking who you are as a creative being, who you are at the core of your being, who you are when you don't disconnect from the truth of who you are. With Saturn here, you have probably been taught to push down this joyful, childlike part of yourself. And Saturn moving through Pisces can dissolve any of those blockages and bring you back to a place where you're feeling more like your childlike spirit. And then that's a match for new relationships moving forward, or for reformatting and reconfiguring relationships that have already been in your life. For Virgos, enjoy these stable relationships that are matching you at an energetic level. You're feeling more unconditional love for other people, and that's reflecting back for unconditional love that you can give yourself. Unconditional love that you can give the process of breaking through restrictions and barriers that you've had to who you are at that childlike core nature. And there's a lot of forgiveness for people and partnerships in your lives. There's a lot of forgiveness for the ways that people are, and ourselves, flaws included, and that there's beauty in that. There's beauty in the imperfection, Virgo. And it's going to make your relationships all that much richer. It's going to allow you to get in tune with more of your authentic self too. When you allow that imperfection and just things as they are, there's this merging of idealism and utopia and unconditional love and the energy that we come from at the source, and Saturn, this practical leader of our world where there's restriction and there's work and there's messiness sometimes. There's restriction we don't like, but there's room for both, and you're figuring that out in your own way. I would love to hear how this is showing up for you. It's really fun chatting with you in the comments. So thank you for connecting with me there. And if you would like to process more of this transit and many more, check out my booking link in the description. For now, have a wonderful rest of Saturn in your 7th house of Pisces, and I will see you next time. Libra, this is your 6th house where Saturn is moving direct in Pisces. And Saturn is the ruler of your 4th house. So with the 6th house and 4th house connection, there's likely a lot of routines as it relates to your home life. How are you managing daily tasks at home? What do you do when you wake up and go to bed? How do you connect with your family? If there has been disconnection or dissolving with family, then this is the time where you're finally feeling like things are clicking into place and you're understanding what has happened from a place of compassion, unconditional love, forgiveness, acceptance for just the way things are. Family, flaws and all. And for maybe sometimes the fog that happens when you're trying to get things done at home. You might even have been dissociating. This can be a house where there could be habits that are taking you away from the practicalities of life. And when Saturn goes direct, you're going to feel more motivation to get back to the practical stuff, but to also be able to integrate more of a spiritual awareness in the mundane things that you do, whether that's actual work you're getting done, whether it's more of a healthy, energetic connection to expressing through tidying the house, through organizing, through mundane tasks that relate to our health, like brushing our teeth and other hygienic processes. With Saturn moving through the 6th house, if this relates to health related stuff where you've had low energy and you haven't felt like you've been able to be very productive and move forward in the world in the way that you want to, this could have been going on for the last 3 years. And that's about to change. When Saturn and Neptune move into your 7th house of partnership in a fire sign, you're going to start to feel more fire in the home, more passion, more work that you're motivated to do. Saturn is going to feel extra motivated in Aries. It's going to be a really nice shift from what we've been in Pisces, where Saturn is more depressed and lacking motivation. But there's been purpose in that. There's been purpose in slowing down. And it's helped, especially for Libras out there, it's helped to look at the small things that add up to big things. Small habits, small routines, and those mundane tasks, especially related to home. You could be in work that has to do with energetic healing, spiritual healing, creative work, film, photography. And if that's the case, there is an element of maybe family related stuff there. So whether you are healing your own family dynamics through your creative work, if you're a photographer, you could be focusing on home and family related stuff. These are just a few examples of the way that things can show up in the physical world, but it's going to be very different for everyone. But the undercurrent is about understanding that those small details of life matter. our health matters. The attitude and the energy that we have towards those things also really matters. This is a house where you could be finding the right medication to get focused and get on task again, or if you have other health conditions, finding the right medicine could be part of that. Finding the right healing in any way, whether that's medicine, energetic. This could even be traditional Chinese medicine, therapy in the sixth house, anything at all. You're going to be finding resolutions and resolving any health elements, any resistance to work, any like sluggishness and being in a fog and not really being able to get things done. Somehow being in that fog has helped you find this new process, this new motivation, this new resolve. We need rest periods. And that's another thing that Saturn in Pisces in your sixth house could have been, was a break from all of that, a break from the mundane work in life and around the home. And when Saturn moves into Aries, you're going to feel that spark again. But that's how the wheel in astrology works, is that we have, wherever Pisces is, it's a bit of a rest area. And when planets move into Aries, they have spark because they're new, they're born again, they're coming out of the cosmic womb, which is Pisces energy. And the cosmic womb is where the energetic work happens. It's not where the tangible work happens. Yet we've had Saturn there, and this is your sixth house, which is an earth sign house, and it's a sign of work. So there's a lot of dichotomy there, but somewhere in the mix, and I would love to hear from Libras out there, you have found the balance. You have found how to bring that balance of rest and work, how to let things go and let things be, and reprioritize which things could just let be and which things need your attention and focus and discipline. And then there's more energy for those tasks. When Saturn moves into your seventh house of partnerships, this is the time where partnerships they could feel like they slow down. There could feel like there's blockages, but it's what's creating long-lasting partnerships. So if you've come across that in the next 3 years, or you're finding that there are feeling like things are slowing down, it's actually reworking a more stable foundation in your connections. And when Saturn's in a fire sign, we're still going to have that pep and that faster motivation and speed of getting things done. It'll be interesting to see how that shows up for each of us with a slow planet like Saturn moving into a very fast part of our charts like Aries. It could sometimes feel like gas and brake, and it could sometimes just feel like a really nice balanced mix of pace compared to Saturn in a water sign like Pisces. Libra, I hope that you have had good health, good time to rest, whatever's been going on in your day-to-day life as far as habits and your ability to focus on important tasks and focus on home and focus on family. I hope that that's all finding really good resolve for you. If not yet, watch for the next few months ahead. And by February, we're all going to be feeling really different about the work that we do in the world, the foundations that we have, and we're going to understand better what structure we actually were creating for ourselves in the past 3 years. And if you would like to know more of your personal chart, check out my booking link in the description below. It's also so much fun hearing from you in the comments. Thank you for chatting with me there. Have a wonderful last run of Saturn in Pisces for the next 26 years, and I will see you next time. Hi, Scorpio. Saturn is direct in your fifth house. This has been a lot of reworking of really who you are at the core. You, more than other signs, have been tapping into the expansive, creative, unique potential that you have. You're probably more willing to be seen for your intuitive abilities, for your psychic abilities, for your creative work, especially if you are in film or photography. Many of you could have been working on some sort of medicinal therapy, that has to do with coaching and helping other people become more authentic and creative themselves. But this reworking with Saturn here for the last 3 years might have felt like it was pumping the brakes on some of this work. But what it was really doing was helping you get to deeper levels and clarity of how to bring this expansive energy that you have into something practical and structured and workable for the public. Saturn is the ruler of your third house. For a lot of you, this could have to do with communication. This is also a house that covers cousins, siblings, close relatives, neighbors, short distance travel. But writing, media, communication, knowledge, and how you pack it into something practical. You're someone that acquires this type of knowledge at a very slow, calculated pace with Capricorn here. You have purpose to the knowledge you gather. You're very diligent about what is sensical and what you believe in. You're not just gathering knowledge for the sake of it. You're being really practical about it. With the ruler of this practical house, Capricorn communication, in Pisces, you're seeing that there's some limits that are too strong. So there are areas where you are being more expansive now, yet you're holding on to the practicalities that matter. If this has to do with children, for some of you, there could be more forgiveness and unconditional love that has come from reworking how you connect with your children. This is probably coming from also ability for you to rework how you are experiencing life in a more childlike way, how you are going back to that time where you saw the world through a childlike lens and you're able to tap into joy and creativity. But now you have the experience of Saturn here where you can use this in the real world. You can keep your practical sensibilities about you and make more room for joy and play and creativity. Not only that, but it is sourced from more intuition now than ever. Your connection to energy and altered states of consciousness are stronger than ever. This could be a period where you've gone through more tough lessons if you have a tendency to use substances in unhealthy ways, or not even unhealthy, but in ways that are too dissociative from who you truly are. So this with Pisces in the fifth house, I could see a lot of this being about having fun and doing psychedelics and doing other substances that create altered states of consciousness. And there's so much joy in that. And there's so much creativity and play and connectedness. Yet, if it's taking away from who you really are, then Saturn has come here to shift that and see that you don't necessarily need altered states of consciousness to tap into what is already there. That's Pisces. Is that we call it an altered state of consciousness, and we can get to there. We could get to that place from an altered state of consciousness, yet we can also get there with our regular state of consciousness and be in both worlds, which is what Saturn in Pisces is doing for everyone. But in your fifth house, there's an extra element there where you're bringing it back into what really matters. You have a strong foundation with this creative self-expression. You know who you are. You're ready to be seen in the world. Some of you are going to be putting this into actual work, because when Saturn moves into Aries in your sixth house, that's going to be about daily discipline, health, tasks you get done every day, service to others. There will be a restructuring there. But for now, this has been the creative focus for a lot of Scorpios out there. And this part of your chart is in trine to your sign. So you're also a water sign like Pisces. Compared to other signs, the water signs are probably getting more of a joyful, altered experience with the watery, intuitive, emotional side of yourself. That restructuring, if anything, is just making you feel stronger and more able to function as an intuitive, emotional person in the world, have strong boundaries around dating potentially, because the fifth house rules dating, and just with energy in general. When we have a stronger framework to work with energy in ourselves, a stronger foundation even, then there's room for more expansion in a way that feels good. And there's a reworking of the body here with the way that for you, it's going to be about communication, especially, but there's a reworking of the physical expression of what you're going through at an energetic level. And once you rework a lot of that, you have room to expand even more and make productive use out of that potentially too, with Saturn going into your sixth house. I would love to hear how this is showing up in your world. It's always so much fun chatting with you in the comments below. And if you would like to hear more with your personal chart, check out my booking link in the description. And have a wonderful last Saturn and Pisces transit. And I will see you next time. Hi, Sag. Saturn is moving direct in your fourth house of Pisces. This has been a 3-year transit with Saturn in this part of your chart of reworking your inner world, who you are at the core and foundation of your being, who you are when you're at home. This could be your actual home. You might have had a lot of restructuring and confusing energy here where you don't know where home is. You don't know what feels like home. You might have felt dissociated and disconnected from home and family in some ways. And if you've been working to feel more connected or to heal some of these family lineage topics or your connection to your own home or all of the above, this is a moment where you're going to start to see that you've been making more progress than you realized. That's the thing with the House of Pisces, is that we don't always see the changes that are happening. They're energetic, they're intangible. This could create a lot of delays in feeling settled in home. And if you're dealing with actual home stuff like renovations or moving, you could have even dealt with water problems in the home with Neptune there as well, and needing to rebuild parts of the home to protect from water damage. But more people are going to be feeling this at an energetic level. And you're going through the energetic layers of your family upbringing and what has made you who you are today. This is emotionally heavy work with Saturn in Pisces. You're building an intuition about your family and your home life as well. And sometimes seeing behind the veil and opening up a deeper understanding at an energetic level can be a painful process. During this Saturn retrograde, you might have felt some things resurface that you thought you were done with. And when you have an over-idealized mentality about what home and family should be like, this could have created disappointments in the recent months since Saturn has gone back in this part of your chart. And it's not to just burst bubbles and to make us feel like this utopian energy of family isn't possible or that it's not achievable. I think it's the contrary. I think that when we have Pisces experiences, we're learning that we can rework the energy and we have that power. And the physical will follow, but the physical moves so much slower than the energetic change. And I think that that is a big part of our mission on Earth, is that we're in this moment, we're in this period of humanity where we're working on energetic changes, but we're doing it from the physical density of the earth plane. And I don't know for sure, but I have this feeling that when we do things at the physical level, we're actually able to tap into that much more energy somehow than if it's just done in the energetic realm and not from earth. Who knows? Who knows really what this earthly process is all about? Maybe Sagittarians have a better sense of that after going through Saturn and Pisces in your fourth house, and you're understanding it from an inner world perspective. You're understanding yourself better. You're understanding how you became yourself from your family. You're understanding what you need in a home environment at an energetic level. And you're understanding how to provide that and give that to yourself. And when Saturn moves direct, you're going to feel probably more long-term connection to the home that you're in, and you're going to feel a sense of home in your energetic imprint that is going to carry forward no matter where your home is. And that's a Sag signature, is that home is anywhere you are. Sagittarians are the nomads of the world. They can travel and sleep everywhere. And this is a generalization of Sagittarius energy. Everyone's going to have their personal chart experience. But that's the archetype, is that home is where you are. And this was a period for the last 3 years where you're reworking all of that. And when Saturn moves into your fifth house of Aries, you're going to feel a lot more inspired and creative flair and fire. And you're going to be feeling more Leonian, like a Leo. You're going to be feeling this burst of wanting to be out and having fun and experiencing joy again. And you've probably felt a bit of that earlier this year when Saturn and Neptune were in Aries. I will link some other videos, another video that I have with MOSHE WOLFE on that. And I will make more to come about what we have with Saturn and Neptune going into the fire sign of Aries. But just as a sneak peek, that's what you have to look forward to. You are a fire sign. You're going to appreciate this transit so much more. And if you've been feeling like this is all that life is because it's been a 3-year Saturn transit and you're starting to feel like the psychological, energetic muck and slowness is just where things are at, that's not the case. It's going to flip in a big way next year. But this was really important to get clear on what spiritual connection means to you and how that can make for such a beautiful utopian home space, and how much power you have over this part of your life. You're going to have a stronger home foundation. You will probably have stronger energetic connections with your family. Maybe you've had to dissolve some connections with your family and some of the systems that were in place from your family that are no longer helping you. They're no longer what you want your home life to be. Saturn is the ruler of your second house as well, so it is going to have a lot to do with your values and your sense of security in the home, what makes you feel really stable. And if old structures have to go to help you feel stable and secure and enjoy the earthly pleasures of your home life experience and the energetic pleasures, then those things dissolved. They have probably already gone through the ringer and you've let go of a lot with home related stuff. And soon you'll feel the build. So on November 28th, when Saturn goes direct, you'll start to feel the build all the way to February before there are bigger changes in the planetary positions. So we have some time. It's especially over the Christmas holidays that you're going to see these differences, which is interesting considering how home and family related this is for some of you. I would love to hear what's going on for you, Sag. It's a lot of fun chatting with you in the comments. If you feel called to leave a message there, and if you would like to process more with your personal chart, check out my booking link in the description. But thanks for just hanging out for this video. I hope you're having a wonderful wrap up of Saturn and Pisces in your fourth house, and I will see you next time. Capricorn. If you have been wanting discipline in communication, in mental thoughts, this is the transit for you. Saturn is moving direct in your third house, and this is going to bring a whole new pattern for the way that you take in media, the way that you write, the way that you speak, and the way that you use your mind in a functional way. This is going to clear up mental fog that you've been having, especially come next year when Neptune and Saturn both move out of this house. But you're going to start to feel it at the end of November, and things will start to click into place as far as the discipline and the productivity that you practice and embody when it comes to these topics. This house, the third house, also rules siblings, neighborhood, close relatives, short distance travel. This is the community that's very close to you. This can be friends as well. These are people that you share ideas with, and there's a level of curiosity in the third house. For you with Pisces ruling the third house, very likely you could be expanding and restructuring your spiritual curiosity. This is wonderful energy for bringing in your intuition, especially if you're a writer. And even if you don't consider yourself to be a writer, this is an opportunity to write out your thoughts, build new ideas through communication with others, be very diligent and responsible with the media that you take in and what you feed your brain with, because that's going to affect the intuitive information that comes through. It's the things that we focus on in our day-to-day life. It's the small thought patterns that then trigger an intuitive stream and download. So if you keep those thought patterns focused on what you want more intuitive guidance on, that's what you're going to get guidance on. If you keep your mindset focused on things that you don't necessarily want more intuitive guidance on, really, I suppose any topic is great to intuitively guide you in and out of that information. But the point being that what we focus on grows and expands. That's where energy flows, and that's what ends up materializing in other parts of our lives and other parts of our charts. So brain fog could improve, and any confusion around projects that you're trying to get off the ground when it comes to communication, any confusion that you've been having with partnerships, because Saturn is in a lovely angle with Jupiter retrograde in your 7th house of partnerships. So something from the past with significant partners in your life, whether that be work or romantic, could come back around, and there's more room for merging ideas. There's more room for staying curious and open, and there's more room for understanding and getting the right words and the right language in those important relationships. For those of you who are working on creative self-expression or anything with your children, the beautiful angle with Uranus in your 5th house is boosting that creative flow. Again, with communication being the highlight of what I'm talking about in this video, but children, hobbies, creative self-expression, just finding more joy again is connected to this mental part of your life and chart. So another reason why the information that you focus on is so important right now, because it is affecting the 5th house, which is your joy. It is affecting how you have fun. For those of you who are dating, it's affecting your romance. What you think about and what you bring to the table is really important in the initial excitement of bonding. And you could have some divine influence, divine intuition coming in to support this part of your life for those of you who are starting new relationships. So new relationships and long-term relationships are highlighted here. And again, the focus is how you communicate, what you think about those relationships and situations is a big ingredient in what they actually are and how they actually feed your life and your soul. Saturn is your ruler, so this is extra exciting when Saturn goes direct for you. Your physical vitality could improve. You could be getting more momentum with something to do with your body. You could be moving forward in so many different ways in your life. So Capricorns are really going to rejoice with Saturn direct for the last time in Pisces, because when Saturn goes into Aries, you are going to have fire in your step again, like you haven't felt in a while. Your ruler has been in Aquarius and Pisces for the last 6 years. When it was back in your sign, that could have been a time where, again, more restrictions. So really for the last 9 years, Saturn has not been in a fire sign. And now when it goes back into fire, fire is in square to your 1st house, to Capricorn. So earth and fire, it does burn up earth. It's not necessarily always the best connection. But I think after having such a long period in these potentially more challenging positions for your ruler, you're going to enjoy the fire. You're going to enjoy the spark in Aries. Aries is the part of the zodiac that is youthful and uninhibited. So it's really interesting how we're all going to feel when Saturn moves through this part of our charts in different ways. But for Capricorns, I really like this energy because your ruler Saturn and Capricorns as a general archetype could use more inhibition, more fire, more spark and motivation and forward movement. And this is just like the shotgun out of the gate. It's go time. So enjoy any slowness that you do feel over the next few months. And when these planets, Saturn and Neptune, move into your fourth house of Aries, you're going to be highly motivated to do a lot of internal transformational work, home-related work, family-related work. Yeah, lots more on that one as we get closer to those transits. But for now, have a wonderful Saturn direct Capricorn. If you would like to know more about what's going on in your personal chart, I will look at how these influence other planets and positions and really speak to each person in an individual way. Check out my booking link in the description. And so much fun chatting with you in the comments below. Thank you for just hanging out here and all the support that I've been seeing, and have a wonderful transit. I'll see you next time. Hi, Aquarius. This is a second house transit for you. Saturn moving direct for the very last time in Pisces is going to expand your values. You're going to feel more solid and clear on what really matters to you. You're going to know where you want to spend your energy. You're going to know where you want to spend your money. And as a result, you're going to be more in the flow of abundance. Because Saturn can cause a lot of restriction. It can be not necessarily a very abundant time when it's in your second house. You might feel like your own energy was a little more Scrooge-like, that you wanted to conserve your energy, you wanted to conserve your finances, you didn't want to spend, or maybe you were getting tough lessons on financial leaks and energy leaks in your life. You could have felt foggy about how to manage these topics, your energy and your finances. And this also has to do, the second house, with what we ingest, how we nourish our bodies. This is all about energy in, energy out, and we are what we eat. We are who we spend time with. We are where we put our thoughts and our energy. And this could have been a time where none of that was really clear, and you're starting to gain clarity from now, November 27th, 8th, when this transit happens, and then all the way into February when we really start a brand new cycle in Aries, and that will be your third house of communication. Those of you who are in writing, media, communication of any kind, short distance travel, vehicle related work, that's a time where there's going to be more restructuring, more focus, more fire and excitement again in those topics. For now, it's about getting the energy right before the rebirth into the material and moving forward and outward again. Pisces is a water sign where Saturn is, and that is yin and receptive energy. So you're taking in lessons here. You're learning how to take in the right energy to create what it is that you want to create out in the world. Saturn is the ruler of your 12th house. Neptune and Pisces are also his classic position, 12th house, which is unseen realms. This is the energetic world. This is the energy that connects all of us, all things. This is the abyss of what we are in when we're not in this material, practical funnel. So for Aquarians, it's a very interesting dichotomy to have Saturn as the ruler of your 12th house, Capricorn in your 12th house. And this is by whole sign system for general readings. So you might have something slightly different in your personal chart. But for most Aquarians, Capricorn will be a topic in your 12th house. And that means that there's a lot of slowing down and tougher lessons about the energy that you access. And as an Aquarius, you have a lot of ability to observe systems. You understand networks and energy in ways that a lot of other signs don't, because you have this observer from a distance, more detached ability about you. And so, by your nature, you are connected to divine inspiration and intuition, and you are not stuck in the rigidity of Saturn and Capricorn energy. But I think for a lot of Aquarians, there is a slow bit by bit that you're taking away from learning about energetic experiences. And that's that Capricorn element. It slows things down. It doesn't give you everything all at once. It gives it to you in manageable nuggets of information. And after this transit, you're going to be able to have a system in place for understanding energy and inspiration and intuition in a way that you didn't before. And that new system is going to allow for more of that inspiration and energy to come through. If you have been looking to change your diet and change the way that you use your energy or do anything different with finances, this is the time, once Saturn is direct, November 28th, approximately, depending on where in the world you are. This is a time you can start taking more forward action, and it's actually just going to feel more natural. You've done the work, you've done the energetic preliminary work, and the material stuff is going to click into place. If you are one of the people who've been more restricted with your spending, then that's going to change. When Neptune, the ruler of your second house, Pisces, goes into Aries, you're going to feel more inspired to move forward in maybe vehicle purchases could be one of them. You could do more short distance travel, especially as it relates to going to the ocean and spiritual experiences. You could be going on short spiritual meditative trips. This will all be in next year. So if that's something that's been brewing and on your mind, you'll see those things and those opportunities come to you come February and onward. This will be important new cycles. And for everyone, this connection to energy and intuition and our ability to shapeshift is changing. For you, it's going to be about communication next year. It's going to give you the gift of gab. There's a huge creative opportunity here for Aquarius risings and all Aquarians. If creativity and writing and media and speech and marketing is something that you are moving towards. I do see this being work related for a lot of Aquarians because of Jupiter finishing its transit in your sixth house of tasks and habits and routines. These are work tasks, the mundane things we do every day, but also health routines. So again, this gives you extra healing and expansion and awareness to rework any of these things. So if you've been feeling like you've been in a bit of a backstep and sliding backwards, that's part of moving forward and having the momentum when these planets go direct. Jupiter, even though retrograde in your sixth house, is doing more internal work in your routines and habits. And Saturn direct in beautiful angle to Jupiter is going to help this work-related part of your life, this service-related part of your life, and help you get habits on track because your values are aligning with what you want to do when it comes to work. And that's the Saturn moving forward is going to give you more discipline in staying aligned with your values, staying aligned with what really matters at an energetic level. And for the second house, it does have to do with what we put into our bodies and how we feed healthy energy in our systems, especially for Aquarians. So there's a lot of potential for positive shifts when Saturn goes direct. It's going to be unique to each person. So if you would like to process more with your personal chart, check out my booking link in the description below. Thank you so much for chatting with me in the comments and supporting this channel and watching this video. It means so much, and have a wonderful Saturn direct. Saturn is also your classic ruler. I forgot to mention that. So before we discovered Uranus, Saturn was assigned as the ruler of Aquarius, and many of you could feel more oomph in your step for that too. Have a wonderful classic ruler moving forward, and I will see you next time. Pisces, get ready to celebrate. Saturn's going direct in your sign for the very last time. This could be affecting so many parts of your life, but you have a new restructuring of self. You have a strong foundation of who you are, what your motivations are, what your instincts are guiding you towards, how to carry this out in the material, practical world, which you already have this gift of energetic expansiveness and being able to read and understand the flow of energy and work with that. But now you have this extra boost of what is practically applicable. How do you make productive use of that in the material world in any part of your life, especially networks, because Saturn is the ruler of your 11th house. This means that communities you're a part of, audiences you're trying to reach, networking, all of the things that get you connected to people and the masses, you are going to have what you've been wanting there, what you've been working towards. And likely many of you have been working on this community piece and reaching an audience. Maybe even with your creative work, because Pisces are naturals at film, photography, and all sorts of artistic, creative endeavors. You are divinely inspired and you have this ability to show other people the energetic realms that they can't see. And that's why Pisces makes such good film and photography artists, is because they see these layers and they know how to show them off in all the right ways. Neptune, your ruler, is still retrograde, but it will be moving forward shortly. When both of these signs, your ruler goes into Aries next year, and Saturn, and they both conjoin. This is a brand new cycle for your house of values, how you treat your body, what you eat, how you spend your energy. And Saturn in your first house for the past 3 years can feel restrictive in ways that minimize your energy. The Saturn in the second house might do this too, but I think it's going to be more about reworking, knowing that you have energy back and you just want to know how to spend it. You want to know how to share it. You want to know how to conserve what's yours and keep it for you. Jupiter is in your fifth house, and Saturn, as it stations direct, and it's been at 25 degrees for a very long time, it's going to continue to be there. But its connection to Jupiter in your fifth house is about your creative self-expression. So again, Pisces are getting this huge creative boost with Saturn direct. And you're feeling more like yourself, which allows you to feel inwardly expansiveness, hold that energy for yourself. You have these protective barriers now with Saturn's lessons, and Jupiter's here to make you feel safe being more authentic, more truthful to you, more willing to be seen. Pisces sometimes have trouble with that. It depends on each personal chart, but as an archetype, Pisces is unseen. So those of you who have been wanting to be witnessed more, this is an opportunity where that will start to happen. And sometimes that's a perception shift. So it could be that other people see you, but you don't recognize the way that that's happening. It could be that some of you just don't like that. You want to be a bit more in the background, and that's going to be different for each person. But this transit does look like it's bringing more visibility. And prepare yourself for that. Uranus in your third house down here is also in beautiful angles to Neptune and Saturn. And this is creating the vocabulary to also match what you are putting out in the world. You can have radical shifts with neighbors, close family members, something to do with siblings. But there's something moving forward as Saturn goes direct and comes into aspect with Uranus here down in your third house. So get ready for more radical thoughts and ideas coming to you. I think this is another ingredient that could boost your creativity and whatever projects you're trying to get off the ground, especially creatively. The fifth house, where Jupiter is down here, is also to do with children. So those of you who have children or are looking to expand your family, this is magic for that part of your chart. Overall, Pisces, this is extra Piscean energy for you. So you're going to be feeling more like yourself. You have Pluto going through your 12th house, which is typically the house of Pisces. So you're still going through a bigger transformational piece of how much energy you're tapping into, how much intuition, how much rest. But this Saturn moving forward is giving you the container to do that. You've been working hard at this for the last 3 years, and you should be really proud of what you've created as far as structure in the practical world that helps you move forward, reach your goals, follow your instincts, and be more Piscean is what this is really all about. It is always most helpful to get a reading with your exact chart. That's where I get into all of the different archetypes and how they blend together, and that's going to be unique for each person. If you feel drawn to that, check out my booking link in the description. Thank you so much for all the support you've been giving this channel. Chatting with me in the comments it makes my day every single time. So thank you for that. And have a wonderful Saturn direct in your sign. This is such a big deal, Pisces. You're not going to see Saturn again until 2052. And Saturn is a lot of hard work. You've accomplished things at a deep, deep soul level, and you're going to start to feel more vitality and optimism come back. And I think Pisces are going to be really welcoming and excited for that. We all are. Have a wonderful transit, and I will see you next time.